So, hello and welcome to another episode of What You Need is a Damn Good Listening To with me, Chris Grimes, and it's an absolute pleasure to welcome to The Clearing, more about that in a moment, a beautiful, lovely man called James Oram, who is a musician, an all-round gifted human being, and you're also launching a single today, please. So, James, how are you?
No, I'm very well. I'm excited to be releasing new music. Excited to be alive on a beautiful sunny day. Just walk my dog in fantastic weather. You know,
just
wonderful.
Beautiful, happy to be alive. It's just a great way to start any conversation. So it's a pleasure. And we obviously know each other also through our connection of Instant Wit, the comedy improvisation company we're both part of, that I happen to be the artistic director of. But anyway, we've also been to France and explored lesuranglais.com, which is an Instant Wit workshop in the glories of the beautiful outdoors, surrounded on three sides by sunflowers in Bordeaux. But maybe we'll get onto that or not. But anyway, welcome. And thank you for getting in touch to say that you'd like to be on this particular podcast. So welcome to The Clearing. How are you?
Yeah, very well, actually. Very well. I feel very fortunate at the moment, you know, that I am well, happy, can play music, have good people around me. So I'm very, very, very fortunate. Yeah.
And I'm only human. I'm realising I probably repeated the same question that I asked at the beginning. But any road up. So welcome to The Clearing. What would a clearing be like to you? Where does James Oram go to get clutter-free, inspirational? Just talk me through that.
Yeah, I actually like to go to my small piano room and sit and play piano. And actually, I really like small spaces, which sounds funny because I find them sort of unassuming and not imposing in any way. I don't like, I feel like in a small space you can think big, you know. So I quite enjoy it. So I've got a small piano in a small room, and I quite like it. Feels sort of unassuming. So I go there and I can play music I love, or I can just sort of, you know, tinkle away, improvise a few ideas, and it's very healing, and it's a lovely thing. So yeah.
And are you in that? Obviously, I'm assuming that you're in that zone now.
Actually, this is my keyboard. So this is actually my studio space. So
you've got an even smaller version of that, have you?
I've got it's actually, so this is an electric piano, but I've got an acoustic piano downstairs in another room. And what happens? This is sort of my second room. So I'll maybe tinkle away downstairs, and if I like something, you know, I'm going, oh, that's a great idea. I'll run up here, switch on the computer, record things, load things up, start playing about with it. But this will probably be a secondary room. You know, I'm very fortunate. I go, oh no, I go to my second space to my second keyboard. But yeah.
And I don't know where this is coming from. You've made me think of Alice in Wonderland and the slight comedy of you going down a rabbit hole of smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller rooms till you can really, really get in your zone. Because you're only about 3 inches tall, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. That's right. So I'm speaking to you from actually, yes, a rabbit hole that's sort of,
And by the way, I hope you won't mind, but I'm going to bring a metaphorical apple tree into this clearing to get us into some storytelling archetypes on What You Need is a Damn Good Listening To. Yeah. It's going to be a bit cluttered. We've got all your wonderful musical paraphernalia. Before we get into shaking your apple tree, which I will talk about shortly, when you're at a dinner party and somebody who you don't know does you that sort of rather clunky question where they turn to you and say, what do you do? We've all been there. Excuse the bluntness of that question, but what's your favourite way of answering that, James, when people ask you that?
Sort of shift around. No, I just say I'm a musician. I mean, you know, it's very broad, and you know, I think obviously everyone has preconceived ideas of what that is, and when you're actually a musician, you realise it's a big soup of many things. You know, a musician. I just say it's, you know, really. I'm just somebody who, I think it's almost like, I think a pianist described it, Andrei Gavrilov said, it's a non-secular religion. And that's more of how I view it. It's, you know, is it a job? No, it's just a state of being. I just fill my life with anything musical, you know, and I think that's the point. So, you know, what do you do? Well, I am. I just live by anything musical. And that almost feels like, almost religious. That's what I do. You know, it's what I breathe.
I really enjoyed you describing it as a big soup as well. That's not an obvious analogy, but you know, splashing about in the soup of music is a lovely answer.
Yeah, I think that's it. It is a soup. So, you know, I think, you know, I like it, the fact that it's a soup. So you know, it's built up like a tapestry. One day I might be playing or writing, and I might be teaching, or I'll be in instant wits, which is just wonderful. I might be playing in a band, and something like that. I remember doing not so long an Iron Maiden tribute band, whatever. So and I think that's why I love it so much. I like that.
You're a one-man orchestra because you are a multi-instrumentalist as well. So just talk me through the instruments you can just pick up and play.
I call it sort of piano plus rock and roll instruments. So not that piano's not rock and roll, but so guitar, drums, ukulele, a little bit of bass guitar. I would say I'm not masterful on them, but I know how to have a conversation with them, and I enjoy them. So I very much enjoy sort of musical friends who just pick up instruments, whatever you can get your hands on. And I suppose the aspects about communicating whatever you have, and that's sort of, they've also got their own unique little.
And by the way, come the zombie apocalypse, which ironically we're actually in at the moment during the global pandemic, come the zombie apocalypse, it's wonderful to have a multi-instrumentalist who can obviously provide a bit of entertainment at the drop of a hat or at the the picking up of an instrument.
Yeah, exactly. No, absolutely. It's a wonderful way to sort of how people go. You see lots of memes on the internet about, oh, so much spare time, I'm going to arrange these herbs. It's like, that's not how I'm seeing my life. I'm just going, well, no, I'm just going to spend more time to play this, or I should be writing music, or I should be doing this. I suppose that's another. I suppose you feel the same way. Actually, when these moments happen, you go, I need to be creative as possible and just work. And actually, it's not a form of relaxation. You go, wow, this is an opportunity. But then I think the funny thing is, obviously, I sort of wonder, I think there's a New York Times, this cartoon of a man in a boat in a storm saying, well, this is a great time to write my novel. So although, you feel this pressure to be creative, actually, of course, there's this shadow around us, which is, we're still in survival mode, but also we're going, wow, this could be a creative opportunity and I should use it,
That's been a funny landscape too, where people go, oh, I've written my magnus opus, or I've written, one of Beethoven's hitherto uncompleted whatevers he would do. Whereas a lot of people, as we know, think, well, do you know what? I've managed to get my pants on 3 days in a row without falling over.
Exactly.
So there is a sort of, we've got to be kind to ourselves in this.
I think so. I've had a mix of it. I think, some days, of course, I've woken up feeling like, wow, I said, I can get all my instruments out, I can be creative. And then some days you go, well, I'm dressed, What more do you want?
You've nailed that as well. You are definitely dressed. And of course, you only need to look dressed from the waist up. So, just, you have published today, so I know you've written a book about a ukulele as well. You actually taught my son Stan ukulele, which I must say you were very patient with Stan.
Oh, I love Stan. I thought Stan was fantastic. I love good character and always enthusiastic. No, he's really good actually.
Such a lovely teacher, James, because he is a wonderful, enthusiastic character.
Human,
So you've got the measure of him. But thank you for saying that too. So you've written a book about encouraging people to pick up the ukulele, haven't you?
Yeah, actually, so my first instrument was actually the piano, which is, there's sort of quite a lot of, how do I describe it? You have your piano lessons, they're all very formal, and you will study this and that, especially, in England, so you'll study your scales and Beethoven, you go, oh, this is music. And then I arrived in Bristol, and actually there was a lot of, someone said, well, can you play ukulele? I thought, yes, but I taught myself ukulele, played it a bit, and I thought, this is great. And I suppose almost it was my own prejudices, almost a form of snobbery. I go, oh, ukulele. But then I started teaching it, and I just realised it was the most wonderful tool for spreading music. I mean, what is so wonderful? It's almost a small space. Like my favorite, it's unassuming, it's humble. And I realised, there's a lot of, it's just almost like a gimmick, over ukulele. But actually, so I'd go into schools, and what's wonderful about it, after a few lessons, children can get a few chords out, and you can rock out to Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
And suddenly they've got the connection music, which is actually the core of it. It's people, I could get 30 children in a room playing together, we're all singing along, having a party. And there was everything I love about music in that room. And I realized I always had an arrogance because, oh no, I should go and be playing, Mozart or Beethoven. It's like, you missed the point. It's about connection, communication.
Yeah.
And that's, you can go as deep as you want on ukulele. You can try and, work out symphonies on 4 strings, which is its own intellectual battle. It can be as deep as you make it. So, I realized it was a key to the musical universe, and actually a wonderful way to get children, even better than piano, to get children loving music. And if children want to, they can dig deeper, but the ukulele will allow that, and they can transfer those skills to other music.
Love that. It's about connectivity, also your own psychology of, can you play the ukulele? Yeah, okay. Which links to a beautiful quote, where if someone asks you to do something in life that you don't know how to do, the idea is you're supposed to say yes and then work it out later. And you're a testament to your own, yeah. And going back to your rabbit warren, the smaller your compartments of containment and your clearings become, the smaller your instrument needs to be in order to be able to get it in the room.
Absolutely, yeah.
What is your book called about ukulele? Just
it's called Ukulele Quest. Yeah, you can find it. Yeah, just type in Ukulele Quest. And it was written with a friend.
Just to stop you, I love that. Ukulele Quest. Look for it and you'll find it. There's a quest of itself there.
Yeah, I put down the date. See if you can find it. On all major platforms. But see if you can find it,
Lovely. So just in time for Christmas, the first Christmas post-pandemic, or maybe we'll still be in the middle of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wrote it with a wonderful friend called Paul Jones, and actually we both taught in schools for a few years.
Yeah.
And we both wanted to put down what we had learned really into a book, because it's so wonderful. We had, I was teaching before the pandemic. It's such a wonderful experience. We sort of wanted to share. We found a wonderful way to communicate music. Please, here it is, all distilled into this book. And that's why we did it really, is to try and get out, wanting to communicate with as many people as possible. Yeah,
it's so lovely, your natural ebullience and enthusiasm to embrace a mindset that we both obviously share, which is yes and. Obviously, my yes and is all my mindscape of innovation and creativity, because I would be a really pants musician. I like percussive stuff and banging stuff, but I'm always, it's a bit like an awareness of where you end and somebody else begins. I have nothing but admiration for musicianship sort of, genetically passed me by probably.
I actually feel like, some things, I feel like there's anyone can be musical. I feel it's the way it's taught sometimes is maybe a bit stodgy. Maybe, how I talk about piano lessons, and I think the same is true of maths actually. It's taught in school in a very particular way by people who are good at it in a very particular way. And actually, I'm a very visual person, so I will understand something like mathematics very visually. And actually, so the algebraic sort of doesn't, and actually, so why I like instruments is they're all very pattern based. So I feel like anyone can learn music. I feel they need the right starter, and that's not necessarily given in our society or maybe your culture. I think because things are taught so differently. Like improvisation, I will talk about instant work. I think weirdly, you said, oh, can you come along? I remember you inviting me very kindly along to a rehearsal. And I suppose I was, even before I went to a wonderful workshop, you went to the yes and mindset. So I thought, well, let's just see what happens. I'd never really done anything like that, and you were getting emotions, sad, happy, and just going with it. And I realized, improvisation and actually that side of music, which is so important, is not openly taught, say, by the majority of music teachers. It might be
it's there in the gift of jazz as we understand it.
Absolutely. And you can go in jazz lessons, but I'd say the majority, you go and play piano lessons, so you'd go and have, I'd learn my scales, I'd learn other people's music, and actually that's not the point. It's about it's about connection, self-expression, and actually being in that moment and just creating, and I think that's what something I'm still, we're all learning, but I'm getting more and more interested in that as I get older, actually.
And I remember one of the sort of leap-off points after we were together in France is you've got very, very interested in how to boost levels of self-esteem and confidence in young people through the use of music, haven't you, as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So after that workshop,
So I'm not crediting the workshop. I'm just saying that.
No, absolutely. I think it's coming back to my point on connection, and I realise music is, as I've actually said, is all about connection.
Yeah.
And it's actually a wonderful metaphor for society, and how we feel about ourselves as well. So it translates into musical games for children. So we did drumming, and actually you had to look at someone or wait your turn to play, and maybe you could have a solo if you volunteered yourself. You know, you could maybe just test yourself, and people could consolidate that. So we could realize with children, we could actually have conversations, and it was a metaphor, saying, no, I need to make room for you. No, after you. No, actually, I'm feeling fearless, I'll have a solo. And that was a wonderful way for children to sort of explore themselves, and actually me as well, you know, and boost your self-esteem and go, do you know what, I'm going to take a bit of risk today. I'm going to volunteer to start off today, and I'm going to let everyone copy what I do, you know. And so you saw children slowly building in confidence to do that. And I ran it with some wonderful people, but it was also a mixture of sort of yoga, meditation, and it was a lovely experience. Yeah.
You've given me a lovely segue there about the opportunity for you to step into the sort of sunlight and do a bit of a solo. So in bringing us into the clearing now, the only preparation I asked you to do before we spoke was just to think about, I'm going to bring an apple tree into your rather claustrophobic musical den, and we're going to shake this tree to see which apples fall out. And its structure, the apples take the form of an exercise called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, the lovely Mr. James Oram, where you've had 5 minutes, or as long as you might think about, it's up to you, to think about 4 things that have shaped you. And you've been implying a lot of what shaped you, certainly musically. So 4 things that have shaped you, 3 things that inspire you, 2 things that really grab your attention and never fail to do so, and then 1 quirky or unusual fact about you, James Oram, musician, composer, that we couldn't possibly know about you until you tell us. Don't worry, you don't have to sort of shake all your apples at once, but just which of those apples would you like to pick up and tell us about?
Things that shape me, I'll go for. And this wasn't because you cued me, but genuinely, I will say that it was genuinely going to the workshop yourself that you ran in France. That was a wonderful experience. And because you said, oh, would you like to come along and, you know, be the musician to, you know, some improvisation comedy workshops? I said, well, fantastic. Yeah, you know, lovely location in France. So I got there. And I think naively, I didn't really think about it. I thought, well, yeah, I'll just watch and I'll add a bit of music. I didn't actually think I would be getting involved, but obviously when I'm there, of course I'm in the workshop. What am I going to do? Sit there behind the piano? So that was great, because I suddenly thought, oh, I've got to do an improvised comedy workshop, you know, which was wonderful, because I didn't expect to be doing that. And yeah, there's a wonderful power in it, you know, because I say there's people much further ahead in their career than I am, much further forward, a mix of people. And I suppose what I loved about it is it was a group of people who didn't know each other, and it was almost an exercise. I thought it'd be about comedy, but actually what comes with that is vulnerability, and actually, you know, being willing to be vulnerable and go with that first idea and just go, be willing to almost make those mistakes where you're taught so much. No, I'm not going to do it until everything is perfect. And actually, as a musician, I will play things, you know, over and over and over again, so they're perfect, to get out any of that ambiguity. But suddenly here I am doing improvised comedy acting, being completely vulnerable in front of, you know, people I don't know, who are, you know, much further ahead in their careers. And I'm going, goodness, but it was fantastic. Yeah, liberating.
Of course, linked to your own love of orchestration with young people. You know, comedy improvisation as a sort of technique is only the conduit through which to connect. And there's that lovely, it's all about connectivity, which, and thank you for saying that that's something that shaped you. I'm very flattered and chuffed by that. I didn't know that was going to be your answer.
No, genuinely. And I think it was all the different people, they all had their different views. Because I think there was people from advertising, social workers, psychiatrists, you know, actors, directors. And it was just getting sort of, you know, that cross art thread. You could see the similarities, and also you got the fruits of all the different types of thinking, you know. And for me, I was like, wow, you know, it was I think it's learning off everybody as well.
What a great expression, the fruits of every type of thinking. Boom.
Yeah,
I've never heard it before.
No, I think this came from and it was really interesting, because, you know, somebody who's got, you know, 30, 40 years in advertising, you know, and me, just, you know, I'm a musician, you know, just trying to work it out, just trying to live my life. I mean, it was fascinating. But I think what came out of it was being in the moment, you know, and actually, I think that was really important for me, saying, here's the moment, you've got to be right in it right now, go with it. And I suppose that comes on to sort of, you know, mindfulness. And yeah, also there I was introduced to to meditation and breathing, because one of the participants there said, well, look at this. And that was fascinating to me, because I hadn't experienced anything like that, saying, you know, because obviously it's about vulnerability, being in the moment. Here is the moment, here is the moment. And I realized how much I sort of either want the future or the past. I'm thinking about this or that, and I'm not square in the moment, you know. And actually it's quite sobering sometimes in front of a crowd of people you don't know to go, okay, now you're going to be angry in this scene. Actually, some of them I got out of by playing the keyboard, but some of them I think I had to do one of your die stories where you have to bounce off the other person, and the audience suggests a story and you just have to go for it, you know. That was exciting, but again, you have to be bang in that moment to concentrate, you know.
I remember the breath control exercise came about because of the use of parachutes, wasn't it? Where we found the good breath.
Yes, thanks for remembering. Yeah. Down. And actually, I've got to say, thank you for reminding me, that was a beautiful analogy of a group, because you all have to be in sync to get the parachute to go up together. And if you're not all on the same page, it's going wobbly wobbly. And I thought that was a really powerful analogy of sort of how a group can work in harmony, you know.
Obviously linked to orchestration, it's the idea of ensemble. You know, if you can get on the same hymn sheet, if you can get on the same breath rhythm, it's really profound bits of creativity and innovation can happen, which is sort of the beauty of the yes and mindset as a scape to explore.
Yeah, wonderful. Sorry.
So sorry to interrupt you. So any other Apple you'd like to talk about? We don't have to do the whole thing.
Let me see. So I've written a few notes down here. So I was just having a look.
Yeah, didn't you?
Yeah, I think I'll go for after university. My piano teacher was a visiting professor at a music school in Russia, and he said, well, would you like to go along for a couple of months? And I think I was 21, and I said, yeah, all right then, I'm not doing anything. So I didn't learn any Russian and it was a beautiful experience. So I got on a plane, and the interesting thing was something came up, and in the end he couldn't actually come with me because he could speak Russian and he was very able. And he said, well, I'm really sorry, but of course, do you want to go by yourself? And I thought, again, I can't see the problem with that. He said, I'll get someone to meet you. And I thought, okay. So off I went, and I remember arriving, and obviously I couldn't even read anything. I couldn't understand anything, and I was going, okay. And I remember the reality hit me landing. I think I landed in Moscow, and then and I was going, goodness, okay. And I didn't know who I was meeting, where I was going, and fear rising. And eventually I took I think it was an 11-hour train ride to a city called Tambov, and we've got a wonderful music school there called Rachmaninoff Institute.
Wow.
And so I went there, and I realized just the high street, I couldn't read any of the shop names. I didn't know what anyone was saying. And suddenly I realized I was in this world, and I thought I didn't even think about it, because obviously I just went there. So I went to a hostel with sort of, I think it was about 160 students, and a handful of them could speak English, you know, it's a handful, but very much it was, again, nobody, obviously they knew I was the English guy, but nobody knew sort of where I was from or what I was about. And that was really nice, because it was just about, it was building friendships, like, you give me tea, I give you tea. Oh, look, I got you a cake. You got me a cake. And it was like, again, it was that just really base level interaction of just being
reciprocity.
Yeah, it was friendship. Again, it was like being in the moment. We didn't know, and we couldn't work out much about the other people around me. So I formed these beautiful friendships. I'd just go up to some of these room at night, play chess with them and eat cake and drink tea. And that was our friendship. I go, well, look, I bought cakes today. Wonderful, come in, let's have a cup of tea and play chess. We didn't need to speak, and it was...
Chess was the common language you shared.
Yeah, exactly. And even just, even when I was, say I'd ran out of food, or I remember one of the girls dragged me home and said, you look awful. And, and just gave me soup. And I thought that is just so wonderful. Because
come back to soup, James. You mentioned soup earlier. So
there's a theme.
Man's obsessed with soup. I
am obsessed with soup. And, and I just thought that was so wonderful. It's, it really moved me. Just going, yes, I do feel rubbish. Yes,
By the way, I can't let the lovely new storytelling archetype that you've just got us both to stumble onto, which is navigating the chessboard of life.
Navigating the chessboard.
because that's lovely. Your yes and mindset is obviously, it's yours anyway, and you've given numerous stories actually where you're all about yes and anyway.
Yeah, I think that's what I try to be. I try to be yes and see where it goes. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
If I may now, what I want to do is bring you sort of away from the apple tree, and we're in the clearing now. What's the alchemy and the gold of James Oram? What do you most like to do when you're really in your sweet spot of doing what you love the most? It's implicit because obviously you're a teacher and a musician, but if you're given complete carte blanche to just deliver some alchemy and some gold, what do you most like to do?
What do I most like to do? I say I haven't considered that, but what do I most like to deliver some alchemy and gold?
Maybe we've got a day when there are no rules, anything is possible, and you're there given a perfect world to deliver some alchemy and some gold to the world. What would you think you'd do?
What would I do? Goodness. Number one, I think I would have open up the day. Again, probably improvise. I'd probably go and improvise on my piano, open it up. Probably in an ideal world, it would all be going so well. I'd go going, yeah, that's really raw, that's good. I'd probably upload it fearlessly, going, who wants to add to this track? Let's communicate. Let's be artistic. Who wants to jump on this wagon? And I'd probably go and teach some music lessons actually as well, because I quite like, there's a lot of power in the teaching. And again, saying be in the moment and teaching some improvisation perhaps. Yes, I think that's a valid way of communicating. I don't know if that's a good answer or not, but there you go.
Because what's lovely is you're such a generous collaborator. You want to invent stuff, but then you want to share, which, I think is a really, just a wonderful sort of, that's who you are. I think you're a collaborator, which is why you're such an asset to, Instant Wit, and that's why you're a joy to work with.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So, James Oram, we're coming up to the point where I'm going to award you with a cake now, and it's an opportunity to put a cherry on the cake. What would you like to leave us with as a cherry on the cake?
I had actually, so when I was at university, I got hired by a tuition agency run by...
A what agency? Sorry, I didn't...
A tuition agency run by somebody, John Fackford, was just a few years older than myself. And I found him quite inspirational because he said something that stuck with me. He said to me, I just want to be rich in the things I love. He goes, I want to drink, he goes, I can eat out every night because I own the restaurant, or I do the cooking. He goes, I can drink the wine because I own the vineyard. And, he's talking like this, but what he means is you need to be rich in the things you love in life. And I fully understand that because, I feel very rich because I love music. So, and that really stuck with me because he goes, it's not about it doesn't have to be a secondary thing. You don't have to do something, say a job, and then go and do something else. And then of course that's a valid format. But he said sometimes just wrap yourself in the things you love, and that is your life. And I thought, fair enough. And that's what I think that's a bit of gold that stuck with me. And if anyone else heard that, I'd think, yeah, I know what he means. Of course, he's like, I own the restaurant. Absolutely, just be in the moment and just do the things you love, and that is life's richness. Yeah.
Beautiful answer. Be rich in the things you love. So, James Oram, it's been an absolute pleasure having you here on What You Need Is a Damn Good Listening To, and thank you very much for being so generous with your time. Thank you very much.